I'm Stanley Dean. I have a firm by the name of SDA CPA Group. We're in the Atlanta, Georgia area in the U.S. and we've been in business since 2003, so right at 18 years now. So when I started the firm, I just felt, I was a CPA. I knew everything about running an accounting practice, and little did I know that I did not until I got into it. So, and one of those areas was certainly how to price my services. So I was using a program that's kind of popular here in the States. I won't name them, but it was a program where you would go out and sell services using telemarketing primarily and bringing in customers that way. And as part of that program, they had a suggested fee sheet to use to help price the services, and they were just way too low. And there were some years I was losing money because of using that program to grow the business. And it was, that went on way too long until I did get involved with your program and learn more about different ways of pricing and how to be more confident in my pricing and more confident in adjusting fees on existing clients as well as prospective new clients as they came on board. I started pricing new clients probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that's about the time we started. I started being involved with the Value Pricing Academy. I think it was 5 years ago now. So it took me probably about a year to get the packages working. I used a lot of the brochures that you had already put together. On our website, I put together the packages, tailored a lot around the information that you had in the brochures. I took the brochures you had my graphics guy take and put our graphics on it and make it with our branding, our look and feel and colors and all of that. But the verbiage was, for the most part, what you had used using the brochures, so I didn't have to kind of recreate the wheel, so to speak. So that first year or so of working with you is getting all of those systems up and going. And then once I felt confident I had a good set of packages to sell, then I started pricing it differently. And then I got the confidence I just got to increase my fees on the existing clients. And again, I used some of the information that you had provided on how to reprice existing clients. And I did that back in 2018. That's really the reason I just really liked your program and your packages and your systems, because what you were saying sounded exactly like what I had been through for years. I know you finally just said enough and sold it off to others, and you started the Value Pricing Academy. But I'm still plugging along trying to do this. So again, some of my result back in 2018 was the first year I did it, and my average increase, my overall increase, I increased fees 47%. My revenue was up 23% on fewer clients. Now here's some examples of some of, here's a client that I still have. I increased 126%, still have him today. Another client I increased 135% that I still have. Another client I increased 100% that I still have, because I felt they knew that I was giving them good service, and they probably knew I wasn't charging enough.
So I'm based in Maple-Ridge, BC, Canada, and I've been in business for over 24 years. And basically it started from, I worked in a position where I was doing administration and bookkeeping, and then family was starting, and I was working, literally going to work at 5:30 in the morning and getting home at 5:30 at night. I thought, how am I going to take care of a baby and work? So I had 2 girlfriends that were already in the bookkeeping business right out of school and had their own businesses, and kind of chatted with them, hey, how, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, those super easy, you can do this, blah, 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 blah. So as I was off on maternity leave, I started my business. I was up and running in November, and I went back to work in, I guess, March. Yeah, not too long after that, I left the corporate world and was working full time. Looking back, I would have done things a lot differently. I basically took from what I was being paid, in the corporate world, and kind of manifested that from an hourly rate to start my business. And yeah, I was not getting a lot of money. But I realized that very quickly I needed to increase that price, but still staying at that hourly rate, because that was just the only way I knew how people did it. Was in the accounting world, everybody was hourly. And honestly, and I'm not saying it for any other reason than that brain mentality didn't change until I met you. It was listening literally at the Intuit Thrive of your talk on the stage, and I'm going, okay, we need to have a talk with that guy. And that was literally, you had the little booth there and we went and chatted with you, but it was listening to you talk about that, and I'm going, I can do that. Like, I don't have to do hourly. So it was definitely, and that was, I signed up for your courses, I started talking to you, and literally from there, that very next time when I would have my annual review with the client, and I can remember sitting there and saying, so my new fee will be, and then he would talk about it, goes, okay, and then your wage of, no, my fee. He goes, yeah, whatever. I'm like, well, no, there is a difference. Changing that mindset helped to break that cycle of, I'm not an employee, I'm in control. I still have him as a client today. We now have less to do, but my rate that I work with him, the fees for his new business are vastly different. Hours-wise, smaller. Rate-wise, much larger. My fee was $55 an hour, and when we turned over the other 3 companies that he had to PBO and a flat monthly rate just for the setup and the cleanup, he said, well, how much will that be? I says, well, we get started out of this and then we'll go to a monthly rate, but my fee is $75 an hour. He didn't even bat an eye. But okay. In my mind, I'm thinking, man, you've taken advantage of me for so many years. Because it was nothing to him. Volume on the revenue side has more than doubled. But the bigger side of it is that I'm not constantly worrying about that hourly time.
Just somebody longing for someone to hold me. It could be anybody, but you chose me somehow. Now,
well, we are based in north central Arizona, and our practice is called Fit Books. It's just Michael and I, my husband and I, that run it here at home. I met you in 2016, I think, at a QB Connect. Started with BPA in, I think, January. Oh my goodness, that was the hourly rate issue. I mean, the better the technology got, the less money I was going to make, so I had to raise my rates. And then the clients could see everything, you know, why are you raising your rates? And it was very frustrating. We faced with losing income because we were getting faster and with the technology, but having to pay for the technology to do it. Making our lives easier was going to make us less money. Well, that doesn't work. So I was looking to do fixed pricing. I think when I came to the QB Connect and heard you speak, then it really, I said, there's a system and I need that. It really made the difference. It made it so much less stressful for me to get that confidence built up just through watching the videos and attending, because during that time you had some repricing webinars that I went ahead and attended those again. And just sometimes you need to do things more than once. I mean, it was a huge win for me emotionally and relationally with the clients and financially. It was huge to be able to get through that. But overall, this last, 4 years, it's made a big difference for us time-wise because we don't have to have as many clients. We know better what kind of clients we want to have, what kind of work we want to do. Not having to keep track of the time, that's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful to be free of the time clock.
Welcome to the session. We're going to be starting in about 5 minutes. I nearly got a scene change wrong. No, I did get a scene change wrong. This is live. It's live. Things occasionally go wrong. So welcome to day 2. Did you see those little short little video clips? Did you see Stanley, the first one? Those results were Wow, extraordinary. And if you missed that, don't worry, because we have a bit more of Stanley later today. And then two of my other favourite people in the academy, Jan from Sedona at the moment, she's moving soon, and Carol from up in Canada. So let's see who we've got here. I can see there's lots of comments going on inside the chat box, and quite a few from Taryn, who says, glad to be back today. I'm so glad to hear. And this is awesome from Taryn. Says, I've also decided to take the plunge and join the Value Pricing Academy. So congratulations and welcome. I feel like I can't afford it, but also can't afford not to. I love that attitude. I love action takers. Remember, you've still got my guarantee that any time in the first 30 days you can change your mind. But you won't do that because, as Lisa from Sussex said, you won't regret it. It means now my job, Taryn, is to make sure that I deliver huge value. Make sure you come along to Monday's kickoff session where we'll formally welcome you and tell you where everything is. So welcome to Taryn. Clive's here from Ireland. Hi there, Clive. Good to see you again. And thank you for that feedback. Really enjoyed yesterday's session. Some great insights and food for thought. And yesterday we were just getting warmed up. Today we go really deep. And Taryn says, forgot to say where I'm from. Kawartha Lakes, I think, from Canada. Okay. We have from the UK, we have Brian Wright from Enfield. Hi, Brian. I think, Brian, you come to a lot of my live sessions, so I know you well. Interesting comment from Lisa from Sussex. She says, recently lost a client when I increased his price due to scope creep. He was a pitter client, pain in the ass. Anyhow, so really didn't mind losing him. And I think it's a great comment, that, because one of the things that I teach a lot in the academy is that we feel like it's a bad thing to lose clients, but sometimes we have clients that are just holding us back. Wendy's here again from Red Deer. Hi, Wendy. Great to see you. And not seen Stephen for a while. It's Stephen Gleitcher from Macclesfield. Hi there, Stephen. I hope you're well. Hope you're doing well. Not heard from you for a while now. We also have Bon matin. Good morning. Bon matin from Montreal to Mr. McEwen. Great to see you. We have Crystal is here again from Houston in Texas. Hi, Crystal. Who else? And we're starting, by the way, if you just joined, just under 2 minutes, we will get started. We have Stacy is back again today from San Diego. I love that place. Sarah and I went to San Diego just about 2-3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, amazing. I loved it, particularly the zoo. The zoo's awesome. We went for a conference, but we had some time out there. We also have, and I'm assuming it's Jen. Hi there, Jen, from Maryland again. Good to see you back. We also have Glenn is back as well. Hi, Glenn, from Edmonton in Alberta. I also recognise this face from yesterday. Christopher says, learned a lot yesterday and looking forward to today. Hi, Christopher. I don't know if that's you in real life. I'm assuming it's not, but it certainly stands out. So welcome, Christopher. We also have Philip is here from Longview in Texas. Hi, Philip. I hope you're doing well. And I didn't see yesterday, but he's, I think, from my academy is Gary from the San Francisco Bay Area, which is another one of my favorite parts of actually, it probably is my favorite part of the US. I love the San Francisco Bay. So we're going to be starting in about a minute. If you missed yesterday's session, just let me know. Just put new if this is your first session, if you missed it yesterday, just so I know. Most of the names I recognise, but there's a few people I don't. So who else have we got? We've got Catherine is here again. Hi, Catherine. Denise is here again. Definitely, I saw you yesterday from Canada. We have new, yes. So Mohammed, you missed yesterday's session. So welcome to day 2. I don't know if you caught yesterday's or not, but I do recommend you catch up with the recording because we are picking up from where we left off. I see that Brian has a question, which I'll come on to questions later. But just so you know, to ask me questions, stick a QQ in front so it stands out. Christopher's very handsome. Yes, you look at Christopher. You look at Christopher, extremely handsome. Right. Catherine's from Orlando. We have Carmel Collins is here. I just clicked on the wrong one. Carmel from Canada again. And Catherine, you missed yesterday's session, so I hope you get a chance to catch up if you didn't see the recording. I have Chris Marshall from Southampton. Hi, Chris. Great to see you. Someone who wasn't here yesterday from Ireland. Kieran's here. Kieran Horgan. Hi, Kieran. Michaela is here. Michaela's back from Kiwi in London. The Kiwi in London. Hi, Michaela. Donna's back from Sherwood Park. And that question from Brian might have been for Sarah because I can see she's answered it. Okay, I best hurry up very quickly. Catherine's here. And so is, I think, Rajiv. You were here yesterday as well, I remember. So welcome back, Rajiv. Let's get started. So welcome to day number 2. And yesterday we're getting warmed up. Today we have a lot of content today. So let's just get straight in. One of the things I said yesterday, you may remember, is every time you show up to one of our live sessions, what we do is make a contribution to help make the world a better place to a project through the B1G1 organization. So just bear me a second while I just get the right button. So yesterday we said that for each and every one of you that attended yesterday, we would provide a week of access to clean water to people who don't have access. And thanks to you being here, Sarah made the contribution yesterday evening, and that's we've contributed 1,323 days of access to clean water for people who don't have it. So today's project is all about education, and so for each and every one of you here today live, we will be providing on your behalf a day of education for children in parts of the world that just don't get access to that all-important education, that start in life. And when you come tomorrow, for each and every one of you here live for day 3, we will meet help to meet one of the other UN global goals, which is around the environment and climate change. So for each and every one of you that comes tomorrow, we'll be making a donation to plant a tree somewhere in the world. So please come tomorrow as well and help us all make the world a better place. Okay, very quickly, let's just remind you of some of the important announcements, and then we can dive in. This is the reason why we've run this so many times now, the Business Advisory Masterclasses. This is a huge opportunity, I believe, for our profession. Whenever times are troubled, whenever there's uncertainty in life, when clients are struggling, it's you that they will turn to. It's an opportunity for our profession to rise up, to deliver more value than ever before, to save businesses. And so I think these are exciting times. These are exciting times to do more for our clients. And when we understand how to package that and price that and promote it, it's also an opportunity for us to build more profitable accounting firms. So before we dive in, remember, if you have a question for me, stick QQ in front, just like Lisa has done. Help me, Sid. If, by the way, you have a question that's for my team, so my team are here to help out, like the link's not working or where do I get the workbook from, you don't need the QQ. Just put the 2 capital Qs if it's a question about the content specifically for me, because my team are watching the comments all the time. They will be answering wherever they can. So just keep the QQ is important if it's a question for me, because there are so many comments going on. Now, as I said yesterday, I know there's always some people who want to take action and go deeper on the content we're talking about and get more tools, resources, training, support. And so later on, I will remind you and talk a little bit more about the Value Pricing Academy if you decide to want to work closer with me. And that would be awesome. A few of you have already taken that decision and taken the plunge straight away, like Taryn. So congratulations and welcome to this amazing community. I do have a question for you. You may remember that I talked yesterday about the 2 types of people that come to training events, the note takers who take notes and the action takers. And I asked the question at the end of yesterday, what's the one thing you're going to do? And so let me know in the comments box, have you done something so far? What action have you taken already as a result of yesterday? What have you done? What action, if anything? Let's see who are the action takers, who's done something as a result of yesterday's session. So tell me in the comments box. I read all the comments, my team does as well. So this is day 2. Some of you did say in the comments that you missed yesterday. And so if you missed yesterday, the recording is available until Monday. So you can catch up on the recordings. We then take them down. And so block out some time to catch up, because today follows on from yesterday. And tomorrow is the last day. So today you're live. I know you're here live, which is great. Make every effort you can to come tomorrow live as well, because when you're live, you get a chance to ask questions, we can interact, and also when you commit to come live, then you'll show up and you'll get the value. Whereas if instead you say, do you know what, I think I'll just wait for the recording, then when there's recordings available, we never get round to it, which is why we take them down on Monday, okay? So if you missed yesterday, by all means, catch up with the recording. It's available till Monday. You've got the next few days. I recommend, if you missed yesterday, try to watch the recording before tomorrow's live session, because that will then fill in the blanks of what you have missed. This is live. Things do sometimes go wrong. And so if anything drastically goes wrong, like my internet fails, power cuts and things, and I've had all these things happen before, then if I disappear from your screen, don't panic and disappear yourself straight away. My team will tell you what to do in the comments box, sometimes once we had to restart the stream. Okay, and last announcement is make sure that you have got the workbook. It looks something like this, and the workbook, you can get it you can download it from the Facebook group. My team will probably put a link to it in the comments box somewhere if you can't find it. The workbook is a great place to keep your notes, but also I'm going to refer to that case study from yesterday, so there'll be some useful numbers and things in the workbook that you might want to reference as we go through the content today. Okay, so yesterday, for those of you that missed yesterday, and for those that didn't and want a quick reminder, yesterday we started off by looking at that definition of what we mean by business advisory, which is essentially helping clients increase their profits. And I went through those 6, if you like, core components of a complete business advisory solution. We then went through that case study and we looked at 3 techniques that you can use to analyze a client's data, their financial numbers, so we can start to spot opportunities, so we can help clients. Then what we looked at, well, what are we really selling? What is advisory? How might we package it up? And I talked about menu pricing, the magic of 3, and that journey technique. And then we also looked at some of the techniques for communicating the value. I talked about the 3 stages of the value conversation. We talked about things like anchoring, why we have to measure things, and a few other things that we can do to help communicate and build up the value of what we do. So today, and if you missed that, catch up with the recording. Today, we're going to go really deep on 2 of the biggest challenges that people have with advisory. So number 1, how do we sell advisory work? Because sell is a 4-letter word. We're accounting professionals. I certainly hated selling when I was running my accounting firm back in the 90s, early 2000s. So how do we sell advisory work? That's where we're going to start off today. And then the other big piece today, which is another question I get, is how do I come up with the price? What should the price be for advisory? So we're going to go really deep on pricing and selling today. And then tomorrow, what we're going to do is look at how do you actually do the work? And we're also going to look at the marketing piece. How do we win more clients? So still lots more to come tomorrow. Today is selling and pricing. And Enley, welcome back, says, so excited for today's masterclass. I am so pleased to have you here again. Okay, let's talk about then this whole issue of how do we sell advisory work, and something that I know we find a little bit uncomfortable, and so I want to kind of break it down with really some frameworks and some tips for you. So the first thing is I mentioned yesterday as part of the communication piece, the 3 stages of the value conversation. And they were, first we have to uncover the value, then we build up the value, and then we capture the value. So let me just quickly remind you. The first phase is uncovering. We do that by asking great questions. And so I said to you yesterday that the pricing process and the 3 stages of the value conversation are really parts of the sales process. Pricing and selling are so interlinked. They're really the same thing. When you talk about price, you're in the sales process. And so when we are having that sales process, we start with stage 1. We start with uncovering the value. It's all about asking the questions. It's having great questions that we ask so that we can uncover the value. We want to uncover what are the problems that the client's facing? What are their challenges right now? Some of those things we might be able to spot from their financial numbers. We can see when I looked at yesterday, we looked at things like the ratio analysis. When we see trends and things going in the wrong direction, we can start to see problems. But by asking the right questions, we can dig deeper than that. We can find out how they feel about those. If they're feeling, for example, if the client says, I'm stressed, I'm worried, I'm having sleepless nights, then that's pain that they're having. And we want to uncover that, because the more that we can ask questions and understand the problems that they have, the challenges, the roadblocks, and the emotional implications, how they are feeling, the more that they're going to want our solution. Okay, so we start off there. And that's the starting point of every sales process. We ask questions first, because if we don't ask the right questions, if we don't properly understand their needs, then there's a danger that we try to sell the wrong thing. Okay, we have to make sure we understand, first of all, what is the real issue. And we have to remember that sometimes clients, when they come to us, they have this habit of asking for the wrong things. For example, a client might come to you and say, I need a cash flow forecast. No client has ever needed a cash flow forecast. And so if a client comes to you and asks for a cash flow forecast and you say, yes, we can do that, and you deliver a cash flow forecast, chances are you are delivering exactly the wrong thing. Because what clients really want and what they ask for are very often 2 different things. Nobody gets value out of a cash flow forecast. They get value out of what that forecast will do for them, how that'll change their life, change their business. And so we have to ask questions to understand, well, why do you want that? What's the problem we're trying to solve? The better we understand the real underlying problems, the better we understand where they're trying to get to. Yesterday, we talked about the importance of goals and understanding what they want to do in life. The better we understand their problems, the better we understand where they're trying to get to, then the better we will be at giving them the right solution. And that's what the stage 2 is, when we build up the value. We build up the value by presenting a solution that better meets their needs. And then we use some of those communication techniques I talked about, and we use packaging, those things that we talked about yesterday. We use those in building up the value. We give them different choices, different options. We use communication skills. And then once we've done that, if we do that really well, the client will say, that's exactly what I want. How much does it cost? And the third stage is capture the value. And that's the pricing piece. And I call it capturing the value because we want to price based on the value of what we do, not time. Hours are irrelevant. And perhaps if you saw the videos earlier on at the start with the countdown music, you might have seen that in Carol from Canada made a big thing about it's so good to be free of the time clock. And I think Jan said the same thing. So they're the 3 stages of the value conversation. So that's essentially a structure for your sales process. But I want to build on that a little bit more. And before I do, just a quick reminder, I forgot to say, if you have any questions for me about the content, stick QQ in front. But for those of you that have already, I will answer the questions at the end. If I answer the questions now as we go along, we'll never get through the content. And today there is a lot of content to go through. So please do ask your questions and I will get to them. In some cases, my team, Sarah, Gabby, Emily, will be able to answer them. Okay, next idea I want to share with you, or concept. I always hated selling. I'm a chartered accountant, as I said yesterday, and like most accountants, most bookkeepers, we don't like the selling process. I'm an introvert. I could never be a salesperson. But one of my mentors in life, and an expert in selling called Peter Thompson in the UK, I said to him once, Peter, I just hate selling. I'm not good at selling. And he said to me this. He said, Mark, don't sell. You're not selling. What you're doing is allowing people to buy. And I went away and thought about it. I thought, that's weird. What does he mean by that? And I thought about it, and suddenly this light bulb went on. And it made perfect sense. And the way I interpret that is when you know you have something that can solve clients' problems, like an advisory solution, then change your mindset to be, I've got this great thing that can change your life. Let me tell you about it, and then you choose whether it's right for you now or not. And some will say yes, and some will say no. If instead we're chasing the sales all the time and feel like we have to sell, we hate that. And that will come across. If we come across as someone trying to be too pushy, like the second-hand car salesman, we will put off clients. We're just simply trying to help them and allowing them to buy. So one of the things we want to do is we want to create a process. We want to create a process that's, yes, it's our sales process, but what you want to do is to turn that sales process into something that's, we don't want to do technique-y sales processes. One of the things that was done some years ago in the UK, someone did some research of thousands of sales conversations, and what they found was there was no correlation between sales techniques like closers and results. Instead, it's about asking the right questions and showing that we really care. It's called consultative selling if you want the technical name. And so what we want to do as part of our consultative selling process is we want to turn a sales process into something that genuinely delivers value to our clients. You want to deliver value first and foremost because we're comfortable with that anyway. So we create a process where we deliver value. Now I give it in the training, I call it the Profit Diagnostic Review. And as part of the training program, when you join the academy, we'll walk through the Profit Diagnostic Review in detail with video training, resources, and so on. But I want to share some of it now because essentially what we are doing is we start off by asking questions. We want to ask questions and let the client do most of the talking in the first part of the process. And one of the things we want to uncover in those questions is pain. That's why we ask about their problems. That's why I ask about, we drill down to find out what the consequences are. We want to understand their pain because the more that we can uncover the pain, the more the client articulates the pain, the more they realize they need your help to take that pain away. People are more motivated by the avoidance of pain than the attainment of gain. It's the pain that we focus on first. So that's why we asked great questions. Now, once we've asked those questions in our review process, I call it a profit diagnostic review, then what we want to do is add some value. Add some value. Give them some ideas of things that they might be able to do to overcome some of their problems. Not all the answers, just deliver some ideas to add some value. I'll give you an example in a short while. So we want to add value. But ultimately what we want to do, the key to selling is this. If you want people to buy your advisory work, then it's about demonstrating and inspiring. Demonstrating and inspiring. You want to inspire them to take action. You want to inspire them to say, yes, I want that. I want that better life. And we help them to see that by demonstrating. And we demonstrate three things. There are three things that we can use to demonstrate that we can change their life. Number one, we demonstrate with stories. We demonstrate with stories. In other words, we tell them examples of other people that we've worked with that have had great results. And I know when I say this at first, accountants, bookkeepers say to me, but I haven't got any stories. Well, perhaps you haven't to start with, but you want to become obsessed with collecting them because success stories, case studies are one of the most powerful forms of marketing. So if you work with a client and at the end of 6-12 months, they've increased their profits by 20-30% and they tell you that and you should know it because you know the numbers, then ask the client if they would be happy to do a case study for you. Even better, it'll video. Because that's so powerful when you tell clients, other clients, I can help you increase your profits. In fact, there was a client I was working with just last year that was having the same problems that you were having. And we worked with them. We did a few things and and we help them to increase their profit. In fact, I've got a little video. Let's just watch this video of this client. They're a firm in the local community, and let's see what they say. Because it's one thing for you to say to your clients, I can help you increase your profits. But it's much more believable when they hear it from a fellow business owner, somebody else who's been having the same problems as they are right now. So that's the first way we demonstrate. We demonstrate with stories, with case studies. And if you have none now, don't worry, but you need to start collecting them. The second way we inspire people or demonstrate is with ideas. We give them some ideas. I'm going to show you how we do that in a couple of minutes. And the third way, and probably the easiest and I would say the most important, is we demonstrate with numbers. Because in our profession, you are the numbers expert. You understand the numbers in a set of financial statements better than anybody else. We live and breathe numbers. We understand the profit and loss account. We understand the balance sheet. And when you use those techniques I shared yesterday, it'll help it become even easier to explain what's going on in the business. So what we do is we use our skills with numbers to demonstrate what's possible in their business. So one of the things I teach in the academy is I teach what I call the 9 drivers of profit. In other words, for any business, there's a business model. There is a mathematical model for arriving at profit. Today, I'm not going to go through all 9 of them. I'm going to cover 3 of the important ones and drill down in a little bit of detail. So we're going to look at and just to illustrate how understanding the mathematical model, the numbers, can have a profound impact on a client's results. So one of the things I came across many years ago, back in 1998, from an amazing marketer called Jay Abraham in the US, is he talked about in the 1990s the 3 ways to grow a business. 3 ways to grow a business. And this is really your starting point of a full mathematical model. These 3 are a great place to start. So if I just flick across to here for a second. So if your client wants to grow their business, then they will probably want to increase their sales. And so the question is, well, how do we help a client grow their sales, increase their sales? And the answer is you can't. You can't help someone increase their sales, because sales, that top line in the profit and loss account, is just the end result of a number of other things, a number of other drivers. And what we have to do is understand what makes up sales, and we work on the things that impact on sales. In the same way, when you join the academy and we look at the 9 drivers of profit, you can't help a client increase their profit. You can't help your clients increase profit, because profit is just an end result. We have to understand what drives profit. And when we break it down to a mathematical model and start to understand the individual elements, then we can start to figure out where to help the client. So one of the elements of profit is sales. Most clients want to grow their business. So we have to understand what makes up sales. And at the simplest level, there are 3 primary ways to grow a business. So number 1, probably not surprisingly, is the number of customers. If you get more customers, your business grows. If you get more clients for your accounting firm, your business grows. The trouble is, most people wanting to grow their business, most accountants wanting to grow their accounting firm, focus here. And I would suggest that focusing on winning clients is the hardest of these 3. Your clients are just the same. People tend to be obsessed with getting more customers. And whilst there's nothing wrong with winning more customers, it's not the only driver of sales. Because each of those customers, when they do business with you, they will spend some money. And so they will spend a certain amount of money, and over the course of a year, there will be an average amount that somebody spends each time. The average, sometimes it's called, Jay Abraham called it the average transaction value. It's how much do people spend on average each time they do business. And the third area is how often do people buy? Because the sum of those, the multiplication of those 3 is sales. It's how many customers do business in a year, How much they spend on average, and how many times do they go back? Why is that important? Because when we understand that and understand the numbers, we can then start to look at different ways of helping a client grow their business. And I'll give you an example in a short while. Very often, the most effective ways to grow a business is not to win more customers, because that's hard. Instead, much more effective ways are getting customers to spend more money each time or spend more frequently. And there's many ways that we can help clients with that. But let's look at some numbers first, because we are the numbers experts. And the thing about advisory work is you don't need the answers. You need to understand the numbers and then ask the right questions of the clients. Your clients will very often figure out what they need to do when they understand what the real problem is. So let's look at this case study again from yesterday. And it's in the workbook. If you remember, yesterday I walked you through the profit and loss account for the last 5 years, the balance sheet for the last 5 years. We did some analysis with that. And there were some other numbers there. Because one of the things that we want to do is when you're looking at your client's numbers, then I said yesterday, we could obviously get sales, it's in the profit and loss account. But what you should be measuring, where possible, what you should be looking to measure is how many customers, how much they spend on average, and how frequently do they spend. And you might be thinking, well, where do I get that information from? Let me share with you. So all you have to do is dig out 2 other pieces of information. Sales is really easy. Monthly sales, annual sales is in the profit and loss account. But if we can get these other 2 bits of information, how many active customers were there in the year? So if you have a client that's not cash sales, then you can go into their sales ledger and you should be able to see from their records how many active customers, how many customers bought in the year. And so I've put in the case study the numbers here, and you'll see that for the last 2 years, the number of customers actually dropped. The other number you want to get is how many invoices were raised. And again, that should be an easy number to get, because as long as your client raises sequential invoice numbers, you just need to know what is invoice number 1 in the year, what is the invoice number for the last invoice in the year, what the difference is, the number of invoices they've raised. If you can get those 2 pieces of information, how many customers in the year and how many invoices, then we can do a couple of really simple calculations. So the average spend, how much people spend on average each time, is very simple. It's annual sales divided by the number of invoices. That gives you the average spend or the average invoice amount. In this particular case, if you did the math and got your calculator out, it's 1,620 for our case study business. And when we look at average frequency, how many times do customers buy on average in a year? Well, that's very simply the number of invoices you raise divided by the number of customers, in this case 5. So armed with customers and invoices, you could very easily, on an Excel spreadsheet, you could calculate those two numbers. And so what I want to do is, so yesterday we started to look at some trends, some ratios, and so on. And so having got this information, we can do exactly the same thing with these 2 very powerful pieces of information. So in this case, if we track that and looked at the trend of average sale value, we can see that it dropped for a bit, but it's been rising. That's a good thing. Average sale value. And there's a number of reasons why that might happen. It could be something to do with pricing. There are a number of reasons why average sales could go up. If it were me talking to Jeremy, the water cutting business from yesterday, I'd ask him the question, why? Do you know why that's happening? Usually the client will have no idea whatsoever, so we could perhaps do some analysis with him. If we look at how frequently customers buy, then in the last 5 years, it was 5 times a year on average. But for some reason, 4 years ago, it was 6 times a year. I'd want to know why. I'd ask the client the question. And you might be thinking, does that really make a big difference? Well, this is one of the things that I found when I ran my accounting firm doing advisory work. What I found was that when you understand the drivers, when you understand the numbers, and you start to play with those numbers, small, tiny changes in the numbers of implementing one or two simple strategies can have a profound impact on results. And I found when I was working with business owners doing advisory work, I would crunch the numbers, and I'll show you exactly how I do it in a second. I would crunch numbers and show them what's possible, and I could see their jaws dropping. I could see them saying, wow, is that really possible? Let's go back to these numbers. So if we fill in these two ratios for the entire 5-year period. So let me just pull this up. So I've filled in now what those two ratios are: average spend and average frequency. Let's project forward a year. What I would say to the client is, I wonder what happened to your business a year from now. If next year you just work with the same number of customers, don't spend any money on Facebook ads or marketing campaigns. Let's imagine you just keep 75 customers next year, which is what you've had for the last 2 years. And so you should be able to keep 75. And obviously you've done something this year, which has increased the average spend to 1,820 on average per transaction. Let's just imagine, for argument's sake, for the next 12 months, we just maintain that. We don't try to improve that, we just maintain that. But you did something 4 years ago that got customers to buy more frequently. Now, Jeremy might know what that is. He might not. He might not be able to remember. Perhaps he's just not sure. And so what we might do is to start to play around with some ideas for how you impact on average transaction frequency. And there are all sorts of ways that we can do that. Some of them crazy simple. I'll give you an example very soon. So hang on, let's look at the numbers first. I'll give you an example. So what would happen next year in year 11 to Jeremy's business if he had the same customers, spending the same amount? But we could increase the frequency from 5.2 in year 10 and go back to that 6.11. They buy 6 times a year, every other month. What impact would that have? Well, if we go back to our formula, which is sales is a multiplier of those 3 things, we have 75 customers spending 1,820 each time, which is what happened in year 10, but this time buying 6.11 times a year. If we crunch the numbers, that's sales of 834,000. That's what happened in year 11 if they can work on that one driver, frequency. Okay, so what you might be saying? Well, let's now plug that into Jeremy's profit and loss account. So year 10, as we saw yesterday, he did sales of 710, and let's assume his fixed costs don't change. So the fixed costs are the same. And let's assume that his gross profit percentage is the same, that if his sales go up, so will his direct costs in direct proportion. So let's assume the cost structure is the same. If we plug that new level of sales in, that's what we get. Almost a doubling of profits. Almost a doubling of profits. And all we've done is change one of the drivers. We've looked at how frequently do customers buy on average. If we can just replicate year 6, we could double profits. And mathematically, that's true. How do we do that? I'll give you an example in a short while, but what I want to do next, just bear with me a second while I just switch across. I'm going to show you a piece of software which is called Profit Diagnostic. It's something that I created in my accounting firm back in 1999. It started off as an Excel spreadsheet. I used this and it was my #1 most powerful sales tool for advisory work. Just using this whole concept of demonstrating with numbers. So if I just switch across to here, this is called Profit Diagnostic. And on this page here is all the numbers from our case study. I won't go through it in detail, but we have Jeremy's water jet cutting business that's in your workbook, annual sales of 710,000 in year 10, 35.21% gross profit margin. He's making 33 grand bottom line profit, and there's the balance sheet in there as well, and a few other bits of information. So having got our clients' data, having got our clients' data, we can start to play around with a few things. So if we go to growth drivers, and we've looked at 3 of the growth drivers: customers, average transaction value, average frequency so far, but there's more. If we were to increase the average frequency from, was it 5.2 to 6.11, that actually happens to be, in percentage terms, 17.5%. And if we crunch the numbers, I don't know how good your eyesight is, but that increases sales by 124,000, bottom line profits by 43,000, which are the numbers I showed you on the chart just now. The interesting thing about this kind of analysis is, firstly, that small percentage changes can have a profound impact on profits, in this case, doubling the profits. Now, of course, the client might say, yeah, but how would I increase my, how would I do that? So what you want to do is remember I said to you, you want to demonstrate with numbers and you want to demonstrate with ideas. And if you've got some case studies as well, even better still. You want to demonstrate with some ideas. And so what you want to be able to do is, for each of the areas of a business, all the different profit drivers, you just need to be armed with an example from the real world. And what I found was, when I shared an example, the client would then, this light bulb would go on, and they'd figure out how they could perhaps take that idea and apply it to their business. So let me give you a very quick example. This is one that I use all of the time. One of the ways to get customers to buy more frequently is to use what's called a next sale script. Okay, so here's an idea. I said to you yesterday that one of the resources I teach is 101 ways to increase profit. This is one of them. You only need to have a handful of them. So the next sales script works like this. And I would, when I'm talking to a client, when I was doing advisory work, I would give real life examples. And so the example I would use is, I would say this: if I had a hairdressing business, I would want to know, how many times do customers come back and buy? Now, I know that I'm quite lazy. I don't like having my hair cut. And I used to go every 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks, I'd go to get my hair cut. Now, if I was running a hairdressing business and I knew my customers came every 8 weeks to get a haircut, I would build in a next sales script that would be something like this. When the haircut's finished, say to the client, are you happy with your hair? Yes, it looks great, really happy with this. Okay, well, if it was me, to keep your hair looking like this, and of course you wouldn't want your hair like this at all, but let's imagine that you did. If it were me, to keep your hair looking like that, I would recommend that you come back in 6 weeks' time. Would you like to book that now for your next appointment in 6 weeks? And I would probably say, yes, let's do that. Let's book it in the appointment for 6 weeks' time. Now, this might not seem significant until you understand the numbers and crunch the numbers. If you take 52 weeks in a year, and if the average customer gets their hair cut 8 times a year, divide 52 into 8, and that will tell you how frequently people go to have their hair cut. If you can use a next sales script like that, where you simply say, I recommend you come back in 6 weeks, and as a result of that, every customer on average comes in every 6 weeks, so you take 52, divide by 6, rather than 52 divided by 8, and you work out as a percentage, that works out at, if I remember right, and you can get your calculators and tell me if I'm wrong, I think that works out at 33% more frequently that a customer comes back. 33% more frequently if they come back every 6 weeks for their haircut compared to every 8 weeks. Now I've chucked into, sorry, let me go back to here. I put into here 70.5%, which is the difference between the numbers that Jeremy got 4 years ago compared to last year. 33%. What happens is, and this is what happened, when I would tell a story like that, the clients would go, oh wow, that's really simple. I suppose what I could do is, when customers buy something, I could have a phone call with them, or I could send out a message saying, do you want to, there are so many things, once somebody buys, there are so many different ways that we could line the customer up for the next sale. And if you were running a hairdressing business, that one simple script, we don't have to spend lots of money on Facebook ads and stuff, just that one simple script could increase our top line sales by 33%. People don't sometimes understand the impact of these things because they don't understand the numbers. Now, another interesting thing when we go back to the software is I would then do a similar thing for all the other different drivers of profit. Let's look at one more. Let's just go into pricing for a second because we're going to cover pricing later. And it's got a separate page in the software. So one of the things I would always say to people, let's say it's Jeremy. Jeremy, you said to me your goal is to increase and grow your business. So tell me, Jeremy, if you want to grow, if you want to hit those growth goals and double the size of your business in the next few years, what would you need to do with your prices, Jeremy? Do you think you need to just reduce them a bit, have some discounts, some special offers to attract more customers to grow your business? Or should you put your prices up? And interestingly, when I asked this question of business owners, when I was doing advisory work back in 99, 2000, 2001, when I asked that question, every time, without fail, the business owner would say to me, yeah, to grow my business, I'm going to have to perhaps reduce my prices. I'm going to do some special offers, some promotions, some discount codes. So I would say, okay then, how much do you think you should reduce your prices by? And typically they'd say something like 10%. So let's plug in 10%. So then I would say, so tell me, if you were to reduce your prices by 10% with some discounts, promotions, and so on, how many extra customers do you think you might win? And they would typically say something like 15% more customers. Okay, great. If you do that, oops, excuse me, and I'm not sure if you can see the numbers or not, but if this client with these numbers was to reduce prices by 10%, and if they got 15% more customers, they knock 44,000 off their bottom line profit. They go from a 33,000 profit to making a loss. And this is something that most business owners don't understand. They think the key to growing a business is to reduce prices. But when you understand the maths and crunch the numbers, reducing prices can be fatal. That's why so many small businesses go out of business, because they get their pricing wrong. In fact, if I press this button here, if this client with his cost structure was to reduce prices by 10%, he would have to win 39.7% more customers straight away just to break even. Is that likely? No, it's not. It's hard winning new customers. So I would then say to the client, okay, what if instead we could help you to increase your prices without losing many customers? And at this point, I'd show some examples, some ideas. And we've touched on some of those yesterday. I might show menu pricing, for example. So let's do that again. So I would give an example or two of how they could change their pricing. And I'd say, so tell me, based on what I just showed you, and I'd give an example like the hairdresser one, how much do you think you could put your prices up by? And at this point, I always find that the client gets a bit bullish. Oh, I could probably actually put my price up by 20%, which actually is very possible because what I've been teaching accounting firms for the last 20 years is that they need to put their prices up. And so many people have done that. They've put their average price up by 20% and very often not lost any clients whatsoever. But your client might say, well, I might lose 10% of customers if I put my price up by 20%. Okay. If you put your price up by 20%, even if you lose 1 out of 10 customers, based on your numbers, you'll add to your bottom line profit $102,800 to your profit. And that's mathematically, that's correct, because if you reduce your customers by 10%, you reduce your direct costs. So your margins go up significantly. And so what we can do is we can play around with these numbers. And what also happens is something called synergy, that when you make small percentage changes in different areas of the business, what you find is the end result gets even bigger still. That's how it works. You get more customers spending more frequently, spending more, higher prices. And so if I just jump across to your results for a second, I would then end it with here. And I'd say to the client, well, if you did those two simple things, you implemented menu pricing and got higher prices, and we put in place a next sales script so people buy more frequently, if we can work with you over the next 12 months to help you to achieve those two things, then that would add on 164,000 to your profit. Your profit would go from 33,000, which it is right now, and you say you're not happy with that, you're struggling, it would go from 33 to $197,000. And what I found when I crunched the numbers is clients would go, wow, is that really possible? Well, yes, it's possible. Mathematically, it's possible when you understand the numbers. We've just got to work together now and figure out, how do we perfect that next sales script? How do we implement a better pricing system so that you get higher prices and don't lose too many clients? And so now when you hopefully you can see what we're doing by demonstrating with numbers, backing up with some ideas like the hairdresser story, backing up with some stories if you've got some, the client now wants to buy. You've inspired them. They want those results. They have pain right now. They have pain. That's why you're having the conversation. And you're showing them with numbers, which is our credibility. We're accountants. We're the experts in numbers. They know that. If you said, I'm a marketing expert, I'm a marketing consultant, you've got no credibility. But if you say, I'm an expert in numbers and I understand what drives profit, let me show you with some software, then we're believable, we're credible. That's our core comfort zone, is numbers. And now the client's saying, wow, I would love to get that sort of result. I would love to go from 33,000 profit to 197. How do we do that? They're now inviting you to tell them about your offering. And that's where you then talk about your packages, what we talked about yesterday. You talk about the packages. And when the client says, yes, I want that middle one, that's what I want, then we talk about price. So that's where we're going to go to next with pricing. Before we dive into the pricing, just so you know, if when you join the academy, that piece of software called Profit Diagnostic, which does other things as well, it's a great tool for the selling process, which is what it's designed for. It was my best sales process for selling advisory work, but it can also be used as part of the delivery too. There's other things you can do. You can play with different scenarios of what happens if this happens and so on. And also you can produce off the back of it, you can produce in seconds a professional report showing all those drivers, the results, the impact on the client's numbers, and so on. But also what I wanted to show you was when you join the academy, we are also creating other tools to help you with advisory work. So if I just go back to here, one of the people I work with is a guy from the UK, an accountant in the UK called Jim Rayner. Good friend of mine. In fact, Jim Rayner was with me on Steve Pipe's Masterclass when I was running my practice way back in 1998. I first met Jim Rayner. Good friend of mine. He's an accountant. He specializes in business advisory. He's also a mathematician, statistician, and understands Excel better than anybody else I've known. And what he does is he creates tools for Academy members to help you with advisory. So all that stuff we talked about yesterday about trends and ratios. If you join the Academy, you get access to Trend Tracker, which allows you to put in the numbers for the client and then produce a report like this that you can walk the client through. Another tool that we have created is one to help clients understand the difference between profits and cash. And so again, you put the numbers in here and it allows you to explain to the client the differences between profit and cash and why very often clients don't understand why they've made a profit and paying tax and they've got no cash, for example. Another tool that we have available which is brand new. So those of you that are in the Academy right now, this is coming your way very soon. It's hot off the press. Jim's just doing the video to go with it. But this is if you want to go to a deeper level. That's stuff you've just seen with Profit Diagnostic. Once you start working with a client, you can start to drill down deeper if they have different parts of the business. So let's say you had a pub as a client, and the pub they did food, and they had a dinner menu, a lunch menu, Sunday lunch, and a bar. Well, if you could split out the different sales and so on between the different aspects of the business, and this could be any business, it's just the example he's given me here is a pub business, then you can do that same sort of sensitivity analysis and change things, and it'll summarize for the client and say, in this particular case with the dummy data, changing your price of the dinner will have the single biggest impact on your profit. So perhaps we should start there. In other words, it'll help you to prioritize as you change things like the price of dinners or the volume of dinners. It crunches all of the analysis across the different sectors of the business and helps you to work with the client to work out where to start. Another great tool that you get access to is one that we supply with the HTML code that you can put on your website. So you can give your clients, or anyone going to your website, can start to play with that pricing analysis. They can start to see, and this will be on your website, and they can look at what happens if they reduce their prices, increase their volumes, and they can see the impact on their business. So there's a lot of other tools that you get access to help you deliver advisory services. But what I want to talk about next is I want to get on to pricing. So how to value price advisory services. And actually what I thought I'd do is to set the scene on the pricing piece. I thought I'd share with you a video. It's a video of an accountant called Stanley Dean over in the US. Been working with him for many years now, established accounting firm. And some of you might have seen a short excerpt right at the very start of today. I interviewed him a little while back, and because he's doing some extraordinary things, getting some extraordinary results in his firm, particularly around pricing. So I thought I'd take about a 7-minute extract of that video and play that, because there's a few things in there that I think are jaw-dropping, some of the things that he's done. So let's listen to Stanley. And then what we'll do is we'll dive into some specific things that you can do when it comes to pricing your services and particularly business advisory. Okay, let's hear from Stanley.
Well, I'm Stanley Dean. I have a firm by the name of SDA CPA Group. We're in the Atlanta, Georgia area in the U.S. And we've been in business since 2003. So right at 18 years now. My background before that, I was in Price Waterhouse, worked for Price Waterhouse in the Atlanta area for about 5 years, and I was in corporate tax and benefits for about 10 years after that, before I started this firm 18 years ago. So when I started the firm, I just felt, I was a CPA, I knew everything about running an accounting practice, and little did I know that I did not until I got into it. So in one of those areas was certainly how to price my services. I was using a program that's kind of popular here in the States. I won't name them, but it was a program where you would go out and sell services using telemarketing primarily and bringing in customers that way. And as part of that program, they had a suggested fee sheet to use to help price the services, and they were just way too low. And, there were some years I was losing money because of using that program to grow the business. And I've heard you tell your story. Mine was very similar, where we were bringing in any clients that could fog a mirror and whether they were profitable or not. And then, so, that went on way too long until I did get involved with your program and learn more about different ways of pricing and how to be more confident in my pricing and more confident in adjusting fees on existing clients as well as prospective new clients as they came on board. And then I also am involved with another group here in the States that is a group of small business accounting practices that service small businesses. And I could see from working with them as well that I was pricing myself too low. So working with them to learn that my prices were too low, as well as your system of how to do it with multiple packages and options. And I was able to get the prices up on existing clients as well as new clients that and again, gain the confidence that I knew it's okay to lose one on a low price. I started pricing new clients probably really 4 or 5 years ago. And that's about the time I started being involved with the Value Pricing Academy. I think it was 5 years ago now. So it took me probably about a year to get the packages working. I used a lot of the brochures that you had already put together. On our website, I put together the packages, tailored a lot around the information that you had in the brochures. I took the brochures you had my graphics guy take and put our graphics on it and make it with our branding look and our look and feel and colors and all of that. But the verbiage was, for the most part, what you had used using the brochures, so I didn't have to kind of recreate the wheel, so to speak. So that first year or so of working with you is getting all of those systems up and going. And then once I felt confident I had a good set of packages to sell, then I started pricing it differently. And then I got the confidence, I just got to increase my fees on existing clients. And again, I used some of the information that you had provided on how to reprice existing clients. And I did that back in 2018. And I guess that's really the reason I just really liked your program and your packages and your systems, because what you were saying sounded exactly like what I had been through for years. I know you finally just said enough and sold it off to others, and you started the Value Pricing Academy. But I'm still plugging along trying to do this. So again, some of my results, I look over here at my other screen, back in 2018 was the first year I did it. And my average increase, my overall increase, I increased fees 47%. And I did lose a few clients, but even after losing the clients, that was what I had increased fees on existing clients before any of them left. Even after the clients did leave, I still was up, my revenue was up 23% on fewer clients. Now here's some examples of here's a client that I still have. I increased 126%. Still have him today. Another client I increased 135% that I still have. Another client I increased 100% that I still have, because I felt they knew that I was giving them good service, and they probably knew I wasn't charging enough. I know it was scary. It was still scary to just do it, but I had enough confidence from going through your program again, as well as hearing these other firms and what passed. And I used some of that is in the letter that I sent to the clients to explain. I evaluated the services that we were offering. I consulted with other firms who were similar in service and quality, and saw that we were not charging enough. Then I also, in the letter that I sent them, we had not offered packages to our existing clients before then. So that's when I started offering packages that, okay, well, for whatever reason, if what we're charging is too high, they can downgrade their service to a lower package. I had very few do that, but that was there. And that gave me a lot of confidence. So I then did another increase in 2 years ago. Now that one was nowhere near significant because I had done the big fee hike the year before, but the second year was another 11% increase on top of what I'd already done, the 47% the year before. And then last year I did, let's see, my numbers are different here. It was about another 10% last year. In each case, the first year, on those clients who had a significant fee hike, like the ones I just explained, not only did I just send them, here are the different packages, I also gave them, here's the reasons why your fees are so much higher. Because, well, first of all, you've been with me for years. You're the guy that was 147% has been a client for 10 years or more. And his transaction count, which is where we base our fees on, how number of checks and credit cards and all that stuff, had grown significantly over that time. And I just hadn't taken the time to go through and evaluate that. So I explained your transactions were this when you started, that's where they are now. You know, our fees have gone, inflation's gone up during this time. You know, I'm paying my people more. Our other costs are higher this year. And so you run a business as well. I hope you understand. And he never even called me. So by, I think, a combination of explaining why the fees were and explaining that I compared it to other firms, and it's not just us picking it out of the air, and then giving them an opportunity to go elsewhere if they felt they needed to. Again, I didn't have any calls back. Well, you know, the profitability is certainly higher as a result on fewer clients. Again, we don't have thousands of clients. So, you know, our revenue last year, even during COVID, was the highest ever for the firm since we've been in business 18 years.
Wow. Just in case you didn't fully get that, I mean, I went through the profit diagnostics. Sometimes small changes can make a big impact. He increased his price by 47% on average, some much higher, some a bit less, on average 47%, then 11%, then 10% in 3 years. If you were to crunch the numbers and see the impact on bottom line profit, that would be significantly higher, which it is. And Stanley is a definite action taker because he heard me talk about the process for increasing clients, and he does that. And the reason I shared that video with you was twofold. Number one is because if you want to increase your bottom line profits, the fastest way to do that is to work on your existing clients. Very often people don't change the prices because they are fear losing them. And so we in the academy, we go really deep on in 2 particular months. We talk about how do you reprice your existing clients, because that's a huge opportunity. But the other reason I share that with you is because when you start to learn some of the price psychology and the techniques for putting your prices up and you'll find you will lose very few customers because of a loyalty thing, plus all the other techniques. When we looked at Jeremy's business just now in the software, and we looked at how he could increase his prices, a lot of the things that you will learn to do, and this is one of the great things about our profession, as you learn how to price better, when you learn how to do marketing better, which we teach in the academy, the more you learn these skills, they help your firm, but also many of the things that you will learn, you could then apply to your clients. So if you're thinking right now, I have no idea how I can help my clients with their pricing. Well, we've shared one idea yesterday, which is just simply menu pricing. Menu pricing is so powerful, it works, but you'll have some clients that don't do it. And yet when they do it, they can get much higher results. Even when they are doing it, they're very often doing it wrong. So everything I teach you to help you with pricing in your business, almost everything can be applied to your clients, and you can help them. And as we saw with the profit diagnostic, it can have extraordinary results. So let's talk about some of the other techniques. So when you're pricing advisory work, oh, by the way, before I do that, while that video is playing, I was looking out for questions. So let me just go through, there were some questions and some comments as well that I just highlighted. So just bear with me a second. So this one I'm not going to answer now. Lisa's in the academy. And the reason I'm not going to answer that, Lisa, just so you know, is because that's tomorrow. So Lisa says, I've always done compliance work, bookkeeping, 44 years now. Congratulations. How can I possibly market myself as an advisor? So Lisa, that's tomorrow's theme. And if I don't answer it properly for you, just ask again tomorrow. We will definitely cover that. Okay. So I just didn't want you to think I've forgotten you, ignored you. We will get to that. Chris, and there's some comments. Chris says, so some of you took some amazing action, and I've picked some of them. So Chris Marshall from Southampton says she asked 20 small business owners what they would value most to help grow their business. I forget who this is now, but they began charging for prospect review sessions and diagnostic reviews as an action they've taken. What else was there? I love this from Jen. I clarified with myself who my ideal client is. Awesome. That's an important first step. Made some changes to my website to gear more towards those clients. I've already gotten 2 potential clients reach out to talk about how I can help. Was that all since yesterday? If so, amazing. Congratulations. A couple more. Taryn said mind blown. I think that was the numbers side of things. And Jen said, as an introvert myself, that change in the thought process is huge. Chris kindly said, Chris is in the VPA, she said, joining was one of the best decisions she's made. So thank you for your comment about the support from me and the team and my amazing team. So we had, let me just think where I've got to. I have a question from Livestream Business and Wellness. So I will come on to that at the end. Okay, that hasn't been forgotten. I'll come back to that question. Okay, let's look at some ideas then. So number one, I said it yesterday briefly. Let's talk a little bit more. When you are pricing, we should not price based on time. We price based on value, and that's the key thing I teach in the Value Pricing Academy, hence the name. It's value pricing, because firms that master value pricing get much higher prices than those that stick with time-based billing. We must stop pricing based on the hour. Customers hate it. And with advisory work, we are throwing away so much money, because advisory work is one of the most valuable things that we can do, even though it doesn't necessarily take a huge amount of time. I said yesterday, that a typical advisory process might well be simply producing some reports that at the touch of a button, you print out some reports from your system, you spend an hour going through them, preparing for the meeting, creating an agenda, you then have a 1 or 2 hour meeting with the client every month. 2 or 3 hours of work. If you're a bookkeeper, for example, charging $75 an hour, you should absolutely not price that at 3 hours at $75. That's way too cheap, because the impact can be much higher than that. I said yesterday that advisory work, I believe, should be charged at least $400 a month, and probably much higher because of the impact. So we price based on value. So how do we know what the value is? Well, partly yesterday, I mentioned we give 3 choices with different options, because some clients will value the greater level of support. But also, I talked about anchoring, using anchors, using other numbers. And did you notice what we did when I talked about the profit diagnostic process, and we looked at the profit diagnostic tool? The reason why we use this process, the reason why playing with numbers, crunching with numbers is so powerful, and I'm showing the wrong page because I'm doing a sneak preview of what's coming up soon. Some simple changes added on 164,000 to bottom line profits. The reason we do that, yes, it's partly because we turn our sales process into something that delivers value. We're delivering value because we're opening up to the client's mind to the possibilities in their business. We're getting them excited about their business again, because very often clients get worn down, run down by the challenges, the problems, the pain, and now we're motivating them by showing them what's possible. And we're also sharing a few ideas, like the hairdresser example, and we might talk about menu pricing. We share a few ideas to deliver some value. So if nothing else, even if the client doesn't buy, you've strengthened the relationship because you've added some real value in that meeting. But also, if the client is inspired and wants then to get that extra $163,000, when we get to the pricing part of it, and we're pricing based on value, then they're going to assess, this is part to do with anchoring and price psychology. When you reveal your price for your advisory work, your price is going to be seen in the context of potentially helping the client get an extra $164,540. Because that's what the software showed, and that's as a result of you going through the client. Ultimately, what you do, and I'll teach you how to use the software, but the scripts and the words you say, you give examples like the hairdresser example. If you had a next sales script, a hairdresser could add on 33%. What do you think would be possible in your business? And if the client puts in 17.5%, then that's because they believe that's achievable. That's the right numbers. And therefore, if it then comes out at $164,000, that's based on what the client says they think is achievable, based on the ideas and the illustrations that you've given to them. And so they're not going to question that 164 grand. In their mind, that's now possible. They're inspired. They want to get that. And you've just demonstrated you can help them do that. You have the expertise to help with that. And when it comes to pricing, we price based on value. And so the more value, the more we can charge. And I'll show you exactly how you do that very, very soon. We're going to get right into deep onto how to come up with the price. So we price based on value. We use anchors, and profit diagnostic, playing with the numbers, gives you an anchor. The $164,540 is an anchor. And then we give clients choices. Okay, so we're going to go, what's coming up next is I'm going to walk you through how you come up with a price for advisory work. That's what's coming up next. Before we do that, yesterday I talked a little bit about the new Profit Advisory Academy. You may have noticed that the t-shirt's changed. So I have changed my clothes. So we talked about that. And just to remind you from yesterday, what that's based on, I've pulled together everything I teach in this subject. I have a 6-month structured video training program. I had my price consulting training where I teach you how to help your clients with pricing. And I used to sell that at $8,000. And what we decided to do was pull both the price consulting and the how to profit from business advisory, put it into a new academy with live training from me every single month where we go deep into all these various concepts. And we'll be launching that next year at some point. We haven't decided what the price of the Profit Advisory Academy will be, but it will be somewhere between $300 and $400 a month. But right now, we made the decision to make it available for free as part of the Value Pricing Academy. So you can't join that academy separately. You can't join the Profit Advisory Academy because nobody can until next year, but you can get it free as part of the Value Pricing Academy. So what is the Value Pricing Academy? What is the Academy? The purpose of the Value Pricing Academy is to help you ultimately to have a more profitable accounting firm. My focus on helping you to be more profitable, to have more fun, to have better clients, build a more successful business. And we do that first and foremost through helping you with pricing by transitioning to value pricing. Because people like Stanley Dean, who you just met, increased his profits in 2018. Sorry, his average price by 47% in 2018, following the process that the framework I taught him. And he takes action and he changes his price now every single year using the same processes. So I teach you and focus on how to get your pricing right, because A, that helps you build a more profitable practice fast, and also you can then help your clients with pricing. So one of the things we do, the academy is made up of a combination of video training and live sessions. We have 3 video training programs. The first one, and the one that I recommend people start with, but it's entirely up to you, is called How to Build an Extraordinary Accounting Firm. It's a 5-month video training program where I walk you through the foundations of building a great firm. And they are, over the 5 months, we're starting with strategy. I teach you the process for thinking about a great strategy, things like your marketing strategy, your pricing strategy, things like ideal client profiles. We look at all the foundations, because when you get that right, your pricing strategy, your marketing strategy, everything after that will be so much more successful for you. Then in month 2 in that program, we look at the foundations of value pricing. In month 3, we then build your pricing system, a structured process for pricing, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. Then what we do is we turn our attention to marketing. We start with pricing first. Don't try to win new clients if you're pricing too low. Get your pricing fixed. But then from a marketing point of view, we look at the foundations. So if you're looking to grow your firm, the 2 foundations are, number 1, you need to systemize and automate the process of building your list, of list generation. So we look at that in month 4. And then in month 5, we want to systemize the process of getting high quality appointments. And I teach you the appointment generation system, what you put on your website, and how you get people to the right clients when you have appointments. So that's one of the core pieces of training that everybody goes through in the first few months. But you also have live sessions. So once a month we have Marketing Mondays, and I teach you for 90 minutes the core things that you need to know about growing your firm. We look at things like referral systems. We look at things like how to get case studies and success stories, the process for doing that. And all these sessions come with 90 minutes of training plus tools, resources to help you make it easy. We have once a month on a Tuesday, we have Systems Tuesday with Teresa Slack. Teresa is extraordinary. You will meet her very soon. She's an accountant in Canada, multi-award winning accountant, and done some extraordinary things with her firm. So she now is a trainer in the academy, teaching how her expertise is putting systems and processes in place. Then we have what's called Foundation Wednesday. This is where we teach the foundations of value pricing. Once a month, we go deep into 1 month. We'll teach we'll teach menu pricing. Another month, we'll look at the value conversation. Another month, we'll look at, in fact, 2 months, how to reprice your existing clients. And these are all done now. There's all resources to go with them, but they are now done by other people in the academy. So some of my star students doing amazing things are now teaching you my content, but how they did it. These are people who are in practice right now. And some of these people you might have met if you've been watching the introductory videos. So I think we had yesterday Neil Criddle. You might have seen Jessica Fox yesterday, and you may meet another one very soon. And then on Thursdays, we have How To Thursday. How To Thursday is where I teach you once a month. We pick a service and we go deep on it. I teach you how to price it, how to package it into different options, how to communicate the value. Each of these comes with a brochure that you can use to position yourself as an expert and to give you a script that will help you get much, much higher prices. So we look at things like how to price tax returns, how to price bookkeeping, how to price tax planning, how to price tax returns, how to price payroll, and so on and so forth. Once you've been in the academy for 12 months, you automatically, and no change in price, get upgraded to the advanced group. And in the advanced group, we have Advanced Tuesdays, where I go deeper on some of the topics. We go really deep on things like price psychology, really deep on things like great questions to ask to uncover the value, and so on. So we have there's a range of different live sessions. And then what you also get is you get some software. We'll talk about it later. You also get the brand new Profit Advisory Academy. Everything we're talking about in these 3 days, everything I mentioned in detail yesterday, you get access to. All the resources, the 6-month training program, live sessions with me. You also get that profit diagnostic software I showed you. You get that complimentary as part of the academy. You cannot buy it. We do not it's too powerful. So we do not sell that profit diagnostic software to anybody. You have to join the academy and you get it as a gift. As well as all those other tools that I showed you earlier, those tools that Jim is creating for members, like the trends analysis and so on. You also get a 6-month training program on how to price bookkeeping, because we know for many people, particularly bookkeepers in the academy, they want to start there and get their bookkeeping pricing right. And there are firms that have bookkeepers gone through that program and significantly increased their prices for bookkeeping work. You met some of them on the videos earlier, perhaps if you were early. And then we have something else which is new, which I'll tell you about perhaps tomorrow. So that's the Value Pricing Academy. One of the ladies who's now a trainer, her name is Jessica Fox. She's one of my star students, and she's getting extraordinary results with her pricing. In the last couple of years, she said that I think it was last year she increased her income by 70%. That's bottom line income by 70%. I think this year so far she's increased her top line by 144%. She's doing some extraordinary things. She's really taken on board everything I've taught. And getting such great results that Jessica's one of the trainers. And Jessica was actually here yesterday. She's an amazing lady. And so you'll get to meet other people in the community. It won't just be me teaching you. It'll be people in practice now getting extraordinary results that will be helping you. So I said yesterday, just one business advisory client would pay for your being part of the Value Pricing Academy. If you, through the marketing sessions I do, just one brand new client from marketing would pay for it. If, like Stanley Dean earlier, if you go and reprice your existing clients following the process, then that will add potentially thousands, if not tens of thousands, to bottom line profits. So I can't make you take action, but if you follow the frameworks and the training, if you do the homework, if you follow the frameworks, if you do the work, then my goal is to make sure you get a return on investment, and you can absolutely do that. I said to you yesterday that you're in complete control, There's no lock. You can be a part of the academy for as long as you want. We have many people like John Johnson here yesterday who joined me on day one in 2014, August 2014, and you can stay as long as you're getting value. If you change your mind and you want to leave, it's really, really easy. There's a simple button in our platform that enables you to just cancel your subscription. There's no lock-in whatsoever. You're in complete control. And not only that, is if you decide to join this week, you have my promise as a thank you to you for trusting in me. Anytime in the first 30 days, if you decide it's not for you and you change your mind, it's really simple. Email Sarah, let her know that you want to leave. And if you want to, you can ask for your initial investment back, the first payment. So it doesn't cost you a single penny. And so I want to make it as simple as possible for you to say yes, take away all the risks. So it's really simple. Come along, get the value out the next month. And if you find it's not valuable, worst case scenario, you just ask for your money back. It's as simple as that. And there's no questions asked. The details are on the page. Sarah, I think, is going to put a link to the page in the comments right now, wherever you are. Okay, so there are some bonuses for people to take action now. If you, during the course of the Business Advisory Masterclass, you've got till Monday. Monday we close registrations. We close registrations on Monday. But if you join while the masterclass is taking place, then we have some bonuses for you as well. And so those bonuses are very quickly. I went through them yesterday, but a quick reminder is you get my complete guide to menu pricing, a video training course I don't sell anymore, but you get access to that with the 7-step framework for building up your packages and the advanced strategies. There's about 30 different advanced strategies around menu pricing. You also get my 54-minute training video on how to do the profit diagnostic review using the software I showed you. And I teach you the scripts, the words to use, like the hairdresser example, and I give you some other examples that you can use. You can create your own examples, or you're welcome to steal my little scripts and my examples and use those when you're talking to clients. And I also give you straight away the profitable growth formula with 24 ideas for increasing your client's profits, like a next sales script. And then later in the training, you'll get the full resource with 101 ideas. But we'll give you 24 to get you started, along with the training as well. And I mentioned earlier that the recordings are available until Monday, but if you join the Value Pricing Academy, we make the trainings available to you for as long as you're part of the Academy. The last thing I want to just mention to you is what's coming up in December, because the best time to join the Academy is now. The reason for that is because A, you've got 30 days to change your mind. Number 2 is because we always change the price every year. The price always goes up because we add more things. So next year it's going up quite a lot because people will get the Profit Advisory Academy. Next year we're going to put the price up because of that. But the price never ever changes for existing members. In other words, today is the lowest price it will ever be. It will go up next year, but that won't affect you. When you join today, you lock the price in, it never changes. And any new things that I create, new software, tools, resources, we're always creating new stuff. You just get those as part of your membership. You don't pay for extra stuff. And the third reason why now is a great time is because December is a special month. We do something a bit different in December. I don't do Marketing Mondays and I don't do the How To Thursday because I do 2 special sessions which are really important. So let me just walk through very quickly what's coming up in December. So Monday, when you join the Academy, Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard, all these times are 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On Monday, we have the kickoff session to welcome brand new members. If you are an existing member, you're welcome to come along. If you want a refresher, the whole point of that is to show you where to get access to everything, where the software is, where the tools are. We show you how to access everything. We give you some tips on where to get started, and then we answer questions. That's Monday. Tuesday the 7th, the next day is a special session from my good friend Steve Pike talking about how to win clients from speaking skills. Wednesday is Foundation Wednesday. That's how to price a new client, and that's from the extraordinary Neil Criddle. I will introduce you to Neil perhaps tomorrow. He's an extraordinary accountant doing some incredible things in his firm. On Thursday, December the 9th, is one of my 2 special sessions I do in December. How to make next year extraordinary. What I teach is a framework. I call it from vision to plan. It's something that I've done for years to build this business. It's the process I go through every December. It's a powerful process that will help you make next year the best ever year. So I teach you the process that I run through, and we do it as a group online. And when you do this process, you'll go a long way to making 2022 an extraordinary year for you. I'll teach you the process. And the great thing about this process is when I teach you the vision to plan process, that exact same process you can also apply when you're working with your clients doing advisory work. So there's a double whammy, if you like, from that December the 9th session. You will find out how to make your practice better than ever next year and your life better than ever next year, but also the framework for how to do the same thing. The process I will walk through with you, you can replicate that with your clients and they will love you for it. You'll see that on December the 9th. On the 14th is Teresa's session on systems. She's going to talk about the hiring system. On the 15th, I'm going to have my second of my special bonus sessions, which is how to achieve your dream life. So that's going to be a fun session to finish off the year. I'm going to share with you some of my things I've never shared before about my journey, some of the failures in my life, but I'll tell you a bit more about my life in Portugal. But I'm going to share, most important, some really powerful things I've learned over the years about how to get control of your life and build that life that you've always wanted. December the 16th is something called Online Live Academy. I'll tell you more about it tomorrow, but there's a session on December the 16th. And then December the 21st is a roundtable session, which Teresa hosts. So that is what's coming up in December when you join. So what I want to do now, we've got questions coming up soon, but before we get on to questions, I just want to look a little bit more at this issue of how to price advisory. How do we come up with the number? How do we come up with the price? And so one of the things that and I puzzled over this back in 1999 in my accounting firm. I came across value pricing. I'd always priced based on timesheets, priced based on the hour. And in 1999, I had to figure out, how do I now give a fixed price? How do I value price what I do? And for some things that wasn't too difficult, like tax planning, but for compliance services particularly, annual financial statements, that gave me a bit of a challenge. And so I realized I needed to come up with a process that dealt with the scope of work, choices, options, and all the things that I've been teaching about pricing yesterday and today. And I built a piece of software in 1999, and that piece of software has been refined many, many times over the years. Some of you may have heard of it as cloud pricing. It was revamped last year, and it's now called effective pricing. And it's a tool that will enable you to, once you've sat down with a client and they said, yes, I want to buy, the only issue now is the price. And what you must do is price in front of the client. You need to involve the client in the pricing process because A, there's transparency. When they can see how your price is building up, there's transparency. That creates trust and credibility. I nearly said crust and credibility. Trust and credibility. Whereas if you just make the number, if you say, oh, it's going to cost you 5,000, they'll think, oh, you're just making that number up. When you have a system that you involve them in, they can see how the price is coming up and you will get better prices. So let me go over to that system now, called effective pricing, and show you, whether you use this system or a different system, I'm going to show you some of the key things when it comes to pricing business advisory. Now, I've got lots of different pricing models here. When you use effective pricing, we supply you with templates for all the main services. I have one for business advisory. So I'm going to go into that and I'm going to price Jeremy's water cutting business. So we'll stick with Jeremy and his business. And so what I would do is I would ask a series of questions, and I want to understand a bit more about the scope of the work, but also give the client choices. Choices is really key when it comes to customers like to choose and be in control of the process. So we give them choices. So I have a number of questions here. Now, the questions you can change behind the scenes with the software. Everything is changeable with the software. You can brand it with your colors and your name. It doesn't have to say effective pricing in the top corner. It will be what you'll be your branding. And you can change the questions. But the model I've got here, the first question is, what is the profit improvement potential? And so the way I would do it, I would go back to my profit improvement software, and Jeremy agreed he could see how he could perhaps increase his profits by 164,540. So I would put that in here. And what we're doing by that is we're building that into the pricing. In other words, and you don't have to do it this way, there's other ways of doing it, but the point is this, think about it from a value pricing point of view. If you've got two clients, you've got Jeremy, you've got Fred. Jeremy, you've gone and crunched the numbers, and you and Jeremy think that you can possibly in the next 12 months add $163,000 to his profits. Fred has a little craft shop. He sells paintings. He's a very small business. You play with some numbers in the same way with Profit Diagnostic, and you could see how you could perhaps increase his profits by 16,000. Jeremy 164,000, Fred 16,000. Which one do you think would get the greatest value? If you can work with Jeremy and help him move towards 163 or Fred and 16, where's the biggest value? It's Jeremy. And so you can charge a higher price. It doesn't matter if you spend the same amount of time with both, having a meeting, going through reports and stuff. Time's irrelevant. It's the result you're helping the client get. And so when we're pricing, the bigger the result, the bigger the value, we can use that as part of the basis for the price. So that's why we have that question there. Now, we might then ask them what accounting system they have. So I've got this one set up with a bunch of systems like Qubio and so on. Why? Because you might decide that it's easier for you if they're on your preferred system. If you're a Qubio Pro Advisor, you would be happier if they're on Qubio. You might want to ask them what's the quality of their accounting system like, because if you're doing the bookkeeping for them anyway, hopefully everything's perfect and you can just simply take the trial balance and create the reports. But let's say they have their own bookkeeping and they don't even reconcile stuff. Then you're going to get rubbish data out, which is going to mean you've got some extra work to do as part of the management reporting side of things. So you want to ask questions that help you to understand how much work you've got to do. You might want to ask them, for example, what industry they're in. So Jeremy's in the manufacturing and engineering. And that's because you might find from your experience that some clients are more complicated or there's more value, and you can then use that to impact on the price. I'm going to skip over that question for now because of time. Then we might give some choices. So we might say to the client, when we do advisory work, we recommend that we normally produce a monthly report. But we don't have to. Some clients like the report done weekly and some less frequently. What would you like, Jeremy? Monthly will be fine if that's what you recommend. Okay, we'll have a monthly report. And also, Jeremy, for most of our clients with advisory work, we meet once a month to go through the report. Yes, once a month is fine. We'll do that. Great, we'll do that. So, Jeremy, where would you like to meet? Because we can either meet here in our boardroom, or we can travel to you if you prefer, or we could meet online. By giving clients choices, they are choosing with their preferences what they value. If Jeremy says, you know what, it'd be great if you would travel to me every month, then if he values that, that's great. We just charge a higher price. So behind the scenes, the price goes up. We might also ask the client, I might ask Jeremy, is when we do the reports every month, I know you do your own bookkeeping, would you like us to review your bank reconciliations? Would you like us to check your bookkeeping? Do you want specific industry reports? Would you like us to, as well as the meeting, do a video commentary on your accounts? By giving people choices, clients love choice. We like to feel we're in control of the buying process, but also when they say yes to things, it's their way of saying, I would value that. Yes, I would find some value in that. If they value things, we charge a higher price. And you're about to see the power of this in a second. Let me just tick yes to everything. Let's imagine that Jeremy wants everything. That's fine. Great. He wants everything. We might then say, for example, so Jeremy, when we do those monthly meetings, I'm the senior partner. Do you want to work with me every month, or would you like to work with Fred, my junior partner? Very often they'll say, I want to work with you. Why? Because they value working with you. If they value working with you, we charge a higher price. Okay, we'll go with senior, we'll go with me. So once we've asked those questions, and you can have different questions, you can change that, but we can now remind them of the different packages. We talked about packages yesterday. We give a choice. And I would recommend that before you reveal the price, you ask which one they like the idea of the most. And Jeremy might say, I think that premium reporting is just what I want. I want premium, please. So now we just reveal the price. And in this case, it's 12 payments of $3,350. And at this point, you're probably thinking, there's no way my clients will pay that. And you're panicking. But here's the really important point. Please listen to this carefully. Whenever you reveal a price for anything, whether it's advisory, tax returns, whatever, when you reveal your price, if the client says yes to your first price, please don't celebrate, because they'd have probably paid you more. You want the client to say that's expensive, which I know scares the life out of us. I used to hate that in practice. We hate it when the client says that's expensive. But until they do that, we don't know what they're willing to pay. So when the client says, oh, $3,350 a month, and bear in mind, we've created the anchor of 164,000 of potential profit improvement potential. But if that's still too expensive, if $3,350 is too much, not a problem. We can go back and we can change something. We could say to the client, for example, the reason it's $3,300 a month is because you want to deal with me. But actually, Fred, my junior partner, he actually specializes in the engineering business and water jet cutters in particular. I can even bring him in now and introduce you if you want, and it will be a little bit less. Would you like to see how much less it would be? And the client will always say yes to that. Well, now it's just $3,000. He's saved $300 a month by doing that. So now he might say yes because he's judging this new price in the context of the first one, the $3,350. But if it's too expensive, that's not a problem. We go back and we change something else. So perhaps we might go and change, and I would only change one thing at a time, but just to speed this up, let's imagine we turn these things to no. And let's move back. It's now just $1,890. We started with $3,350. It's now 12 payments of $1,890. If that's still too expensive, we could go back and suggest that rather than meeting every 12 times a year, we perhaps meet quarterly. We meet 4 times a year. And perhaps we meet online rather than we travel to them. And now, if we go back, it's now $1,560. And there's always the full reporting at $755. There's always the starter option at $577. And there's other things that we can do as well. The point is once we've built up the value with our communication and the packages, we then reveal a price, but we involve the client in the process. And we just keep working down until they say yes. Because we don't know what is the maximum that somebody's willing to pay. And so that's why we have to involve the client in the process. Some clients will happily pay you double the current price. If they understand they're getting more, we give them choices. Okay, let me just one final thing before we then get to questions soon. Let's imagine that Jeremy goes with the middle one. He decides he'll have the middle package, not the most expensive one, because that's $755. He couldn't afford $3,300 a month. But $755 feels like a great price compared to $3,300, particularly given the profit improvement potential of $164,000 bottom line profit. Can you now start to see how we're building up the value with things like profit diagnostic, and then what we're doing is we're making the price seem very small in comparison? He's happy with $755. This is why I said to you at the start, this is a huge opportunity for you to help clients build more successful businesses. And when you value price it, this can be the most profitable thing you do. So once the client says yes, we then actually have something called the upsell process. We should always offer other things. So we might at this point offer an annual tax planning review. And if we do that, it adds on, in this case, $22. I think it is, if my maths is right, $22. A month. You should always offer other things when people say yes, because they're now in buying mode, they're now a client ready to buy more. If you don't you'll never make any more than the 755. And then once we've done that, just so you know, just to finish off the process, you can also change the payment plan. You can put in your rate of sales tax or VAT, and you can show the client the amount with tax. You can show them the exact dates that it's payable. And if you use QBO or Xero, you can export it into your account and it produces the invoices and so on. And then finally, you can just confirm it with the client. And then that's it, done. The client said yes. We can complete that particular quote. The client's agreed to $775 a month. Once the client's gone, just one more thing is you can then create a proposal. And let me just show you very quickly. So it might be that we create a proposal for Jeremy. We're going to call this Solving Your Cash Crisis. And I'm going to hit save and continue. And what you can then do in the software is you can build professional looking proposal templates. Here it comes. And you can change this. It's all editable. You can change the words and so on. But you don't need to because it uses keywords. It puts all the things like the client's name in. So I'm just going to hit save and continue. And it's now crunching all the data, all the prices, the client's name, everything else. And in a second, let me just minimize that slightly. You then have a beautiful looking proposal. This one happens to be a landscape one. Solving your cash crisis for Jeremy's water cutting business. It pulls in the prices and everything else that's been agreed and creates this beautiful proposal, which you can then put into whatever software you have for digital signing, get the client to agree it, and so on. So that's the pricing. That's the pricing process that firms I work with go through to get much, much higher process, whether it's compliance work, whether it's advisory work or any other service, because you can price anything with that. So just to clarify, you can buy that software, by the way, that piece of software, if you want to buy it. I forget how much it is for the Pro plan, Sarah. Is it something like $250 a month? I forget, actually. I should have checked that. But you can buy the software. Just go to www.effectivepricing.co.uk. However, here's the big thing. We also make this software available for free, the Pro plan for Value Price Academy members. And the reason we do that is because I want to do everything I possibly can to help Academy members get a return on investment, to get better prices, to make more money. So you get that software built in as part of your Academy membership. Okay, what are we going to cover next? Yes, I have a bonus for you for being here today. I promised you yesterday there will be a bonus, and the bonus is we have an AT. It's a brand new video that I think Sarah's going to put it in the comments box below. So there'll be a link to this video. It's from a two-partner firm. They nearly went broke 4 or 5 years ago, nearly closed down the business. Now it's a thriving business. It's Teresa Slack in Canada, and she talks about a bit of her story. It's an 18-minute video. She talks about her story, how she went from being nearly broke. Her and her sister Connie nearly closed the business, and then they made some changes. She talks about how they moved away from hourly billing to flat fees. She talks about why that didn't solve their problems, but then she talks through 5 things she did, what she calls her 5 secrets to success. She talks about things like what is the right price. So I'd like to show it to you today, but we've got so much to cover. So I thought what I'd do instead is I would send it to you. We'll send a link to it. It's a brand new video. Nobody else has seen this yet. You will be the first to see this video. So I can see Sarah's put the link in the comments. Go and check that out. It's extraordinary. Okay, I think we're getting close to questions. What I would love to know, just like yesterday, is are you a note taker or are you an action taker? So tell me in the comments box. I read all the comments. As a result of today and all the things we've talked about today, what are you going to do? What action are you going to take? What are you going to start doing as a result of what you've learned today? Tell us in the comments. I want to see who are the action takers, who are going to do stuff. And then tomorrow what I'll do is I'll ask you to then share what action you have taken again. I like to see who are the action takers, who are the note takers. So today we've covered how to sell. We've looked at that profit diagnostic process. We've looked at some tips on selling. We've looked at some pricing ideas like anchoring, pricing based on value. And we've shown you exactly how you can do it and get very high prices. Tomorrow, we're going to start to look at how do you deliver? How do you do advisory work? I'm going to share with you a couple of frameworks for how you do the work itself. And the other thing we'll look at tomorrow, which I know that Lisa wants to know, is how do you start to position yourself as an expert? How do you get people to see you? If for example, in Lisa's case, she's a bookkeeper, how do you now have the credibility? How do you attract clients? How do you attract brand new clients? What are some of the marketing things you can do to get new clients and to get new clients for advisory work? That's tomorrow. Tomorrow is those two topics, and also tomorrow asking whatever questions you have as well. Just to remind you that when you do come tomorrow live, then you will be helping make the world a better place, because for each and every one of you that comes live tomorrow, we will make a contribution to plant a tree somewhere in the world and help with climate change. Okay, it's question time. It's question. So what questions do we have? Just bear with me a second, see where I got to. Okay, so where we got to, this is a question from, and I'm sorry I forget your name. I think you put it earlier. But Mark, what do you think about how customers hear sales scripts? How can this be done in an authentic, non-contrived way? That's a great question. Sales scripts are so important. They are so powerful. We just have to look at probably the most systemized business in the world, which is McDonald's. And you ask for a hamburger, a Big Mac, and they'll say, do you want to make that a meal deal? That's a script. It's a script that everybody says. And so we need to create our own scripts in our business. But how do you make them feel like they're not contrived? The way you do that is practice. Practice. So one of the things that I do, just to give you an example, I showed you yesterday. In the Academy, for all the main services, I give you all the words you can use to build up the value in brochures. And one of the things that I put in the brochures is, what do you do? What do you say if you're building up the value in the conversation, but early on the client says, yeah, but what's the price? What's the price for your advisory service? The question is, what are you going to say? Well, if you make it up, you'll say the wrong things. You need a script. You need to script for what you would say if somebody asks you the price and you haven't even gone through your packages yet. So I give you scripts, and what you will find is that the more you use them over time, they will feel natural. So there's a script in here. Let me give you how I would answer that, and then you can tell me whether it sounds wooden, contrived, or whatever. If someone says to me, so what's the price, Mark, of your advisory service? I would say, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. What we found is that by listening to our clients over the years, our clients tell us over and over again that they hate the way the accounting profession charges. Historically, the profession charges based on the hour, how many hours it takes. And when we asked our clients why they hate that, they said, we hate it because we don't know what the price is till you finish the work. And as we heard that feedback, we thought that makes perfect sense. So what we do is, having listened to our feedback, is we give a fixed price up front. We will give you a fixed price for this advisory work. But the other thing we found from talking to our clients is that they're all different. They want different things. They have different wants. They have different needs. And so we learned that there isn't such thing as a one-size-fits-all solution. So what we do is we give you a range of different choices. And we'll give you 3 main choices. And each of those choices, you can customize things like the frequency of meeting. So we can't give you a price just yet because we need to go through the different options. So is it okay if we go through those choices now so you can see the different choices you have, the different options? Oh, yes, that makes sense. That's just a script. That was a script I wrote out. It's in the brochure, and I often use that. I won't use the exact same words every single time, but it comes across natural. It's just practice, okay? But you've got to have the scripts in the first place. If you don't have the scripts, if you've not written down what you need to say, you'll say the wrong things. You'll just make stuff up. So we have to have the systems, we have to have the scripts, and then over time, they just become more and more natural. I'm sure you have systems right now. For example, I remember when I was in practice, I came from a tax background, and so very often I would notice that if a client was unincorporated, a sole proprietor or partnership making lots of profit, there was very often benefits of incorporating, of moving the trade into a corporate structure. I would have lots of conversations about that, where I'd talk about the pros and the cons of operating through a corporate structure. And if you're a CPA or an accountant, perhaps you have those same conversations. And over time, I said the same things over and over again. I had this script I developed as to the pros and cons of trading through a corporate structure. We just get better over time. Okay, hope that one helps. Right, next question I think was from Taryn. And Taryn, I know you said you've joined the academy, which is awesome. Would be good to give my clients a sampling of an advisory. Oh, hang on. No, Taryn said disregard, because that's what I'm saying now. So perhaps I answered that, Taryn. If I didn't, come back to me. Right, let's see who was the next question. Carmel, let me see. Carmel says, if I was to encourage a client to do menu pricing and then they want me to help them with that, how can I respond to that if I'm not an expert myself in doing that? Carmel, very simple. You must become an expert, because menu pricing is so powerful, it will transform your pricing. This is what I was saying earlier, Carmel, about Steve Pipe, my friend Steve Pipe, said it like this. He used to say, one of the great things about our profession is duality. Duality. And what he meant by that is that whenever we learn something about building a more successful accounting firm, very often those things will also help us to help our clients. So treat your firm as your most important client. Treat your firm as the most important client. And so all these things that you could do around advisory work, do them yourself first. In December, in a few weeks' time, I'll do my vision to plan process. You must do the vision to plan process yourself, because how can you, with credibility, sit down with your clients and go through a framework for helping them articulate their goals, their strategy, if you don't do it yourself? You have to walk the talk. So, Carmel, do it yourself. Learn menu pricing. If you join the academy, I will be teaching you menu pricing, and I'll teach you all sorts of things that you can do, because most people do it wrong. There are so many little things that we can do to improve the menu pricing. For example, just the price points alone. How much should each of the prices be relative to each other? It's really, really important. And it depends on a number of factors. And once you understand some of the psychology behind menu pricing and what works and what doesn't work, you'll get better results. And when you get better results, you can then help your clients get better results. Carmel, I hope that helps with that. The handsome Christopher says, if we sign up for the VPA now, will the PVA always be part of it? I think you mean, the Profit Advisory Academy. Will it always be part of it? If not, would we be able to roll out our VPA membership into VPA for the same locked-in monthly price? Okay, so I think your question is, Christopher, if I understand right, is if you join the VPA, anything that you get as part of the Value Pricing Academy, we don't take away from you. So you'll get access to all this business advisory stuff. And right now it's free. When we choose to open up sometime next year, and there's no guarantee, when we choose to open up the Profit Advisory Academy, the price will be somewhere between $300 and $400 a month. We haven't decided yet. There won't be a discount for Value Pricing Academy members because you have it for free already, okay? And we won't take it away from you. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Clive from Ireland said, took action, signed up VPA, looking forward to getting stuck in and getting to work. Okay, I look forward to seeing you, Clive, hopefully on the Monday session, if you can make it, the kickstart session. And Taryn says, high five me as well. Okay, another question. Would we retain access to the tools even if we discontinue at some point? No. You get access to everything for the duration of your membership. If you decide at some point to leave, then what you get to keep is all the knowledge that you've gained. but you don't get access to the tools. The effective pricing software, though, you can subscribe separately if you want to. So that you can subscribe to, but all the other tools are exclusive to VPA members. And my goal, of course, is to make sure that you get such huge value that you never want to leave. That, like John Johnston, who's been with me since 2014, and many others as well. Because what I do is, I said to you, your price is locked in. It will never change. But what we do is every single year, we sit down in December, we have our own internal strategic planning process, which I'll teach you in 2 weeks' time. And in our process, one of the questions we ask ourselves every single year is, what more can we do next year to add more value to our members? What more can we do? And every year we create new things. There'll be new things you'll get in the future, and you will not have to pay for them. Because future members, people who join the future, they'll pay for those things. So that's why you will find probably 3 or 4 years from now that you've got even more than what we're talking about today, and yet your price hasn't changed. I hope that answers that question. Okay, Michaela says, oh, thank you. VPA is awesome. So much more than value pricing. Yeah, it used to be. For those people that joined me back in 2014, I just taught, it was 1 session a month. That was the 2014 offer, that once a month I would teach value pricing. But it's grown and grown and grown, and those people still pay the same price, that they subscribe to 1 session a month and they get so much more. And Eleanor, who I think, Ellen, you joined recently, didn't you? You joined a few months back. Last time, the pricing software alone being included is huge. Yes, and that was another thing we introduced in 2020. Prior to 2020, it wasn't effective pricing, it was cloud pricing, and members had to buy cloud pricing separately. And then last year we just thought, let's just give it to them. So you'll find we do that every year. Something else will come along. And Michaela says the brochure templates are fantastic as well. We have lots of those. Next question, I think it's Taryn, says, do you provide some sort of schedule calendar you showed to VPA members? I like to have everything in my calendar for at least a month at a time. Yes, so we use a tool called Trello, which we love. We run our business on Trello, and we have some videos showing members how they can use it. But we have a Trello board, a public board with our curriculum on, and we show the dates and the topics of all of the sessions, and we will talk about that on Monday in the kickoff session. Although, Taryn, you've joined, so actually if you go to the Value Pricing Academy portal where all the videos and stuff are, watch the welcome video, and on that welcome video I tell you where to find the curriculum. It's a big button that says curriculum, I think, on the right hand side of the screen. We'll show you on Monday. I think actually we make that curriculum, I don't think anybody can look at the curriculum, so I don't know whether, Sarah, you want to send Taryn the link to it or whatever. I'll leave that up to you. You've probably answered it. So I'm looking for, there's a lot of questions for Sarah, and I think Sarah's been answering questions. So I think one of them was, if we decide to, is there a separate fee for the advisory software? Can we just buy the advisory software? No, you can't. The only software you can buy separately is effective pricing. Okay, I'm still going through. Okay, Eleanor, I think. Could you please elaborate on syncing to QBO? I am a little confused. Okay, one of the things so Eleanor, one of the latest developments in the effective pricing software, which was done in August or September, was that you can integrate your effective pricing with QBO, or Xero if you're a Xero firm. And what that essentially means is that once you've done a quote, once you've done the proposal, then there's an extra button you can do which pushes it out to your QBO account. And basically it takes whatever you've put in the payment plan, the dates the client's agreed to pay you, the net plus the sales tax. It then sets up for you in QBO your invoices to send to the client, all set up with the right dates, is what it does. So it was a feature that many people asked for, and so we created that in the summer. I hope that makes sense, Eleanor. There is a worksheet Eleanor, by the way, is a member of the Academy. So Eleanor, there's a worksheet on that if you can't find it. I know Gabby has created that, and she can send you the resource. So this doesn't have QQ in front, so I nearly missed it, Graham, but I did catch it. So Graham says, is there capacity to sign then and there and set up payments in effective pricing? I'm not 100% sure what you mean. Well, let me guess what you mean. So you've gone to effective pricing, you've agreed the price. Can you set up payments? Yes, I guess, depending on what system you have, but it would be outside of effective pricing. So in the UK, people tend to use Go Cardless, direct debits. You could set them up there and then in the meeting, but it's not integrated with effective pricing. If you want to get them signed, signing straight away, rather than digital signature, you can always print out the proposal and they could manually sign it. If you want them to do that, that's perfectly fine. You can also, by the way, as well, I didn't say it, but when you put your proposal templates into the software, you can have as many templates as you want. So, for example, that would mean that once you've agreed the price, you could have a proposal, fixed price agreement, and a separate engagement letter, and you could print them both out and get them to sign. There's a lot more stuff to do with the software effective pricing that we could talk about, but that's, I think, for another day. Let's see what the next question is. For me, I'm looking for QQ. If you didn't put QQ in front, I might miss it. Sid says, what does Sid say? Have you had problems with the client if you don't deliver on your initial profit improvement projections? Okay, so great question, Sid. When you go through profit diagnostic, and let's say it comes up with the 164,000 for Jeremy's water cutting business, then you're not guaranteeing they'll get that result. Nobody knows whether they'll get that result or not. They probably won't, because to get that result, they'd have to take action. And a lot of people don't take action. You might have a meeting, a strategic planning meeting, you come up with an action plan of 20 great things that they could do, and they might do one or two of those things because life gets in the way. And that's why I said yesterday that accountability is really, really powerful when you hold clients accountable to doing the things. But ultimately, you aren't in control of them taking action. You can share some great ideas in your sessions. You could say, look, if you need word of mouth, you said, is really powerful. You should put in some referral systems. Let me share with you 2 or 3 referral systems you could use, which will help you to get more customers. But you can't make them then go away and do it. So you just make it you make it clear that you are not guaranteeing outcomes. You're not guaranteeing results. In fact, we talk about guarantees a lot in the training program. You should never guarantee the outcome because you're not in control. But what you do guarantee is delight at every stage. You guarantee they'll be delighted because at the end of every monthly session, there'll be, when you go through the numbers and the reports, and you might revisit profit diagnostic, you'll re-inspire them. And every time you inspire them, they are going to be delighted with that inspiration, the ideas you share, the action plan you create. But there's no guarantee that you'll ever get. You should never guarantee the results. Did that answer your question, Sid? I'm not sure if I answered it very well, that one. But if I didn't, just reach out to me and I'll see if I can answer it better. I think the next question is from Sid as well. Does all your software come with your Academy subscription agreement? So if you join the Value Pricing Academy, you get access to effective pricing for free for the duration. You also get the profit diagnostic software for free for the duration of your membership. And you also get those other tools that I've created in conjunction with Jim Rayner, the trend tracker, and that I showed very, very briefly. So yes, you get all of those things as part of your Academy membership. If you change your mind in the future and leave the Academy, then the only one that you can carry on using is you can subscribe separately for the effective pricing software. You can get that outside of Academy membership. But if you're a part of the Academy, you get the Pro plan included. Right. I can see a few people saying what actions they're going to take, which is awesome. I forget what the question was now, Christopher, but thank you for confirming I answered it perfectly. Right, next question I can see is from, and forgive me again, I don't know the name, your first name. But anyway, if we are like a doctor for our client's business, and we see that they need a certain treatment plan. Okay, there's a part 2 to this. If we're like a doctor for our client's business and we see that they need a certain treatment plan, wouldn't it make sense to issue a single treatment plan and present a menu of options that may not fully serve the client's need? Okay, I understand what you're saying. It's a very, very valid question. It's a great question. So what the point is you're saying is, I'm giving them a choice of these 3 things, but because of the questions we asked, we know that the best solution for them is the middle option, or we know the best solution is the cheapest one. One of the things that you should never do, we're professionals, we're accountants.
Sorry, just to interrupt. There is a third part to that question.
Is there a third part as well? Oh, sorry. There's a part 3 to that question. Okay, let me come to part 3. Let me carry on the point I'm making, because I think it's still an important point. So what was the point? So even though we understand, based on the questions, that actually the best solution is this, this, and this, but let's say our system has 3 choices, we still mention the 3 choices. What we should never do, that's where I was going, we should never ever try to sell something that is not appropriate. We are professionals, okay? Let me give you an example, and this will hopefully make sense. So back in about the year 2000, my particular, back then, I had a consulting advisory service that was made up of a $29,700 12-month program, sorry, pound program, $40,000 12-month program, and then a much cut down 3,000 one and a 500 one. My pricing wasn't right then. They should have been, those last 2 should have been more expensive. But anyway, what most people did is I worked with them for over a period of structured sessions for £3,000. It was typically 4 or 5 half-day sessions for £3,000. But I had this 29,700 one. And I had a meeting with somebody who was a photographer. And I met him because I was looking for a photographer to come and take photos of me and my team to put in brochures and things and put on my website and so on. This was back in 2000. And my graphic designer recommended him. He came along, he took photos. And when he came back to show me the photos he took, I said to him, his name was Adrian. I said, Adrian, so tell me, how's your business going? And he said, it's a bit tough at the moment. Okay, Adrian, one of the things I do is I help people build more successful, profitable businesses. Would you like to sit down perhaps next week for half an hour? We'll have a bit of a chat and talk about what's possible. He said, yeah, that would be great. So he came back. He brought his father with him, and they sat down in my boardroom table, and I went through a piece of software that was the first version of Profit Diagnostic. Now, he wasn't an existing client, so I had no idea what the numbers were. So I had to fill in the numbers into the software. What are your sales? What are your costs? And I was a bit staggered about actually how small a business it was. His sales were £12,000, and he was making a loss. And I'm thinking, he's not going to buy anything. Or at least he's not going to. I know I can help him with the 500 and the 3,000 option, but he can't afford the 3,000 option, I don't think. But my process was I always talked about the most expensive one first. And there's a reason for that. I'll teach that sometime. It's called top-down pricing. So I said to him, let me tell you about our most expensive package. It's called, I gave him the name of it, and I said, I'm going to walk you through it, but let me also tell you, I'm going to share with you what the process is, just so you better understand what it is that we do in our firm. But let me also say that you cannot buy it, because I know it's not right for you. So I then described my most expensive option, and I then give him the price. It was $29,700. I said, this is $29,700, Adrian, and you can't have it. So please, that's not for you. Let me tell you about the one that I think is a better option. And I told him about the 3,000 option. Now, I thought that when I get to the third one, that 500, he'd go for that. But he went for the 3,000 option. which I didn't expect, but that's because the 29,700 created an anchor in his mind. And we ended up working together for the next few months. So going back to the question, if we know what they want, should we still present our different options? Yes. We must never sell things that aren't appropriate. We must give people the right solution for their business. But part of the power of menu pricing is to do with psychology, price psychology, and anchoring, and other techniques, which we'll go into deep in the Value Pricing Academy. And if instead you just give them one package and one price, if you only give one price, it's the wrong price. Because if you just gave them one option with one price, it's the wrong price because that's not the price they're willing to pay. It's almost impossible. The number they have in mind they're willing to pay will either be more or less. If it's less, you're too expensive anyway, they don't buy. If it's more, they'll say yes, but they would have paid you a lot more money. And we're just leaving money on the table. So there's a lot of reasons why we give people choices, okay? A lot of reasons. But ultimately, yes, we have to make sure that we give them the right solution for them. But hang on a second, there was a part 3 to this question, so I don't know if I answered it properly. Then only offer other options if it's clear they can't afford or aren't willing to afford the ideal treatment plan. Yes, correct. So let's say that you've got 3 choices. And actually, my example of Adrian fits perfectly well with this. So I still went through the most expensive one, but I said to him, this is not for you, you cannot have it. But I knew that the middle and the bottom one were more appropriate. So I offered the middle one. And I would only have offered the cheapest one had Adrian have said no to the middle one. Now, in the software I showed you, when I revealed the prices, it showed all 3 columns of the 3 options. One of the things you can do in the software, and I'm happy to show it if anyone wants me to show it, is you can actually set it up so you can choose the order that it reveals the packages. Now, with most of your services, like compliance work, you probably will just want to reveal all 3 at the same time. But with advisory work, it's actually, there's some reasons for this, but it's better to just show the most expensive one first. And you could set it up in the software so it does exactly that. And if you, I could probably show it fairly quickly. Let me give it a little bit of time. Let's see how many questions I've got. If we're close to the end of questions, which we might be, I'll just show you how you do that. But let me see what other questions we've got. Actually, that I think for now, the last question. So let me just show you something very quickly. And then if any questions come in, I'll answer them. Otherwise, we can start to wrap up. So just bear with me a second. I need to switch across to here. So I actually have 2 models set up for advisory because I set up another model. Let's just go to Jeremy's water cutting business. This one, I didn't start with that first question of what's your profit improvement potential, because that's a question that you don't have to answer that. I just want to show, this shows a different set of questions, but let me just skip through the questions because I want to get to here. Okay, so this is the page where you reveal the price and your options. And I can hit fixed price, but you'll see that there's only one option. It's the premium reporting, and in this case it's 1,480 because I've answered the questions different with lots of no's. It's 12 payments of 1,480. And so you could talk the client through this and build up the value and so on. If the client says yes, you're happy. But if the client says that's too expensive, there's a little button that you can then reveal the next one, the full reporting. And if they say yes to that, great. But if they find that too expensive, then you could reveal a cheaper option. And if you want to, I said yesterday, do you remember I said to you that with menu pricing, the first step of the 7-step framework is how many packages will you offer? And normally it will be 3. Normally it will be 3. Sometimes there are reasons why you might want 4 or 5. And with the software, you can have up to 5 packages. So I've set this particular model up with a light option as well, a cut down version, which you'd only ever go to if you really want to go to that low one. And if you had a brochure or something, you'd only show the 3 options, but you have a 4th one hidden up your sleeve if you like. I haven't got a sleeve, so it's hard to hide it. But one that you hide up your sleeve just in case the client says, I can't afford any of those three, but you decide that you want to still work with them because they fit, because you like them, and they might fit a certain criteria where there's a genuine reason why they can't afford the more expensive package. There might be a business startup, for example. Okay, I think there's no more questions. Or is there? I don't think there's any more questions. I noticed that, again, someone said that Graham Page sounds like you might want Practice Ignition. And on that point, we do know some of our members use Practice Ignition in conjunction with effective pricing. They do the pricing in the software. They create the beautiful proposal, and then they put the PDF into Practice Ignition, and then do the rest of the onboarding process in there. Just a thought for you. I know there's a number of members that use both tools, effective pricing first, then Practice Ignition. Okay, I can't see more questions. I will play out with a different video this time and a different some different music. It gives me a chance to read the comments and so on. Tomorrow is day 3. Tomorrow's the last day. So we have those 2 really important areas: how to do the work and also marketing, how to win new clients. And of course, if you have any final questions for me, tomorrow is your last chance to ask questions. So I look forward to seeing you same time tomorrow, and bye for now.